Welcome to the Depth Dive. Really glad you could join us today. We're going to be exploring something pretty central in decentralized finance, or DeFi. It's called the Compound Protocol. Our whole goal here is always, taking these kind of complex topics, making them feel, well, understandable, maybe even exciting. Like when a friend explains something really cool they just figured out. When I first heard about this stuff, Compound, my first reaction was kind of like, wait, my crypto can actually do something other than just sit there because honestly, for a lot of us, it just lives in a wallet. Feels a bit like money under the mattress, right? But what if it could be working for you, earning something? So yeah, today we're unpacking Compound. What is it? Why should you care? How is it changing things?
It's great to dive in. And you really hit the nail on the head there. DeFi can seem like, well, a maze of new tech and terms, but we'll break it down. Compound, it wasn't just another project. It was, you could say, a real pioneer. Really set the stage for thinking about how digital money can, generate value.
Okay, so let's start right there with that problem. I know for me, and probably lots of listeners, crypto just sits idle. Feels like a bit of a waste, doesn't it? Was that the main thing, this idle capital?
That's exactly it. Spot on. The core problem Compound set out to solve back in 2017 was precisely that.
Yeah.
Idle capital.
Yeah.
You had billions, literally billions of dollars worth of Bitcoin, Ether, stable coins just dormant, not doing anything. Unlike, a savings account that earns interest. These assets were just sitting, not part of the economy, really. So the founders, Robert Leshner and Jeffrey Hayes, they had this vision, create a system where these assets weren't just gathering dust. Think of it like a community garden. Imagine everyone have really great tools, shovels, rakes, but they just keep them locked in their sheds. Useless, right? Compound wanted to build like a tool-sharing library for those digital assets, put them to work for the whole community, unlock that potential.
That garden analogy really clicks. Unused potential, yeah, I get that. So, okay, that's the problem they saw. What was the big idea then? How does Compound actually make my crypto work in this garden?
Right, the core idea is what they call algorithmic money markets, built right on the blockchain. So instead of going to a bank, Compound lets lending and borrowing happen. Well, decentrally. No middleman. Think of it like that community lending library again, but for crypto. People deposit their crypto, could be USDC, could be ETH, into a big shared pool. Then anyone else can borrow from that pool. The really cool part, interest rates. They aren't set by some person in an office. Nope, it's all done by code, an algorithm. It looks at how much is in the pool, the supply, and how much people want to borrow, the demand. And it adjusts the rates constantly. So if tons of people want to borrow, say, ETH, the borrowing rate goes up. But that also means the rate for people lending ETH goes up, which encourages more people to deposit ETH. It balances itself out. And it all runs on smart contracts, those self-executing code things on Ethereum, and now other blockchains too. It's autonomous.
Okay. A self-balancing code-run community crypto library. That analogy is super helpful. It makes it less abstract. But let's get into the nitty-gritty. How does it actually work for someone like me, step by step?
Let's break it down. So say you want to deposit. You put your crypto, let's use USDC as an example, into a Compound pool. You don't just get an IOU, you get these special tokens back called lick tokens. In this case, you'd get CUSDC. These lick tokens, they were a huge deal back in Compound V2. People call them money Legos. Why? Because they actually accrue interest. Think of it like a receipt, yeah. But this receipt's value slowly increases over time. It represents your original deposit plus the interest it's earning, second by second.
Whoa, okay. So the receipt itself grows in value. That is like a Lego block you can use elsewhere.
Exactly. You could potentially take that CUSDC and use it in another DeFi app. That's the composability people talk about. Now, borrowing. If you want to borrow, you first have to provide collateral of some other crypto you own. Usually you have to put up more value than you want to borrow just as security. And like we said, those interest rates, they wiggle around all the time based on supply and demand for that specific crypto. Got it. Deposit gets you growing seeing tokens. Borrowing needs collateral first. Makes sense. You mentioned V2. Has it changed? Oh, absolutely. It's evolved. Compound V3, sometimes called Comet, was a really big shift. The main focus there, safety, risk management. With V3, they introduced something called isolated markets. So instead of one giant pool for everything, you have separate pools. Each pool is focused on borrowing one main asset, like USDC or ETH, and any other crypto you put in. That's purely collateral for borrowing that base asset. It doesn't earn interest itself in V3.
So back to the garden analogy, it's like putting each type of plant in its own separate greenhouse, so if one gets sick.
Exactly. It contains the risk. If there's a huge price crash or some problem with one type of collateral, it doesn't automatically spill over and wreck the other markets. It fences off the risk.
Okay, that sounds much safer. Less chance of a domino effect.
Precisely. It's a trade-off, right? You lose the extra interest on collateral in V3, but you gain significant security. And this structure also helped them expand. Compound isn't just on Ethereum now. It's on Arbitrum, Optimism, Polygon, Base, these other networks. Which means for you, potentially lower fees and faster transactions.
Yeah.
Makes it more practical. That's super clear. The Budokins, V3s, greenhouses, I get the mechanics now. So, zooming out a bit, for the average person just wanting their crypto to, do something,
Yeah.
what are the biggest practical upsides here?
Right. The practical benefits, number one, is pretty straightforward. Passive income. Earning a yield on crypto that would otherwise just be sitting there. It's like interest, but for the digital age.
Okay, earning interest, that's definitely appealing. What else?
Second big one, access to liquidity. Let's say you need cash, maybe for a down payment or something unexpected comes up, but you really believe in your crypto long term, you don't want to sell it. With Compound, you can borrow against it. Put up your ETH as collateral, borrow stablecoins, get the cash you need without selling your ETH.
So you can get liquidity without giving up potential future gains. That's powerful. It really is. Then there's the whole no intermediaries aspect. No banks, no typical bank fees, no business hours. It's global. 24/7 access to lending and borrowing. And like we discussed, especially with V3, there's a stronger focus on security and risk management. Makes it feel a bit more predictable, maybe. Plus, it's pretty accessible now. Integrates with lots of wallets. People use Ledger, Argent, Exodus. Even big exchanges and institutions are using it too, which says something.
Okay, passive income, access to cash without selling, no banks, better security. Sounds almost too good to be true, which always makes me ask, what's the catch? What can go wrong? Are there risks?
That's the right question to ask.
Okay.
Because yes, absolutely. No system like this is foolproof, especially in DeFi. It's still new territory. One major risk area is smart contract bugs, the code itself. Even with audits, sometimes things slip through. We saw this pretty dramatically with Compound back in late 2021. There was a bug in a governance proposal update. A tiny coding mistake, literally using a sign instead of us, caused the protocol to accidentally hand out something like $150 million worth of CMP tokens.
Wow, $150 million from one character?
Yeah. Now, importantly, user funds weren't stolen by a hacker, but the protocol itself lost a lot of value due to that error. It was a hard lesson about how critical code correctness is and how governance decisions can have huge financial impact. Think of our garden again. It's like a typo in the sprinkler instructions accidentally pumps way too much expensive fertilizer onto one bed. The plants might be okay, but you've wasted a ton of resources.
Okay, so code risk is real.
For its market risk. Crypto is volatile, we all know that. If you borrow against your crypto and the value of that crypto collateral drops sharply, your loan can get liquidated.
Right.
Which means the protocol automatically sells your collateral to pay back the loan. This can happen fast, and you can lose your collateral if you're not careful managing your loan-to-value ratio.
Right, liquidation risk. That's a common one in DeFi borrowing. Scary stuff.
Definitely something to watch.
Yeah.
Then there's the really big, kind of looming cloud. Regulatory uncertainty. Especially in the U.S., regulators like the SEC. Well, they're looking very closely at crypto lending. They've suggested these kinds of products might be unregistered securities. Remember Coinbase wanted to launch a similar product, Lend? The SEC basically threatened to sue, and Coinbase backed down. This is like an existential question for the whole DeFi lending space in major markets.
So the whole model could be challenged legally.
Potentially, yeah. Compound moving to full DAO governance being run entirely by token holders. You could see that as partly a legal strategy. Trying to argue there's no central company to regulate. It's a big untested experiment. Will it work? We don't know yet.
Like trying to regulate the whole community garden instead of a single farm owner?
Kind of, yeah. It's a fundamental clash of models. And lastly, even with a DAO, there are governance risks. Just because it's decentralized doesn't mean things can't go wrong. Power can still get concentrated, or people can try to game the system. There was an incident in 2024, the Golden Boys thing. A group tried to push through proposals to give themselves like $24 million from the Compound Treasury for their own project without maybe enough security checks or community agreement.
People trying to grab the treasury funds.
Essentially, yeah. The community ultimately stopped it, which shows governance can work. But it highlights that you constantly need people paying attention and participating responsibly. It's not set it and forget it.
Wow. Okay. Code bugs, market crashes, regulators, and even internal governance drama. Definitely not risk-free. Thanks for laying that out. So after all that, If I had to quickly explain Compound to a friend, just the essence of it, how would I sum it up?
I'd say Compound is a key DeFi lending protocol. It lets you earn interest on your crypto or borrow against it without needing a bank. It's really focused on algorithmic rates, and especially with V3, on managing risk through isolated markets. But, you have to add the caveat. It operates in a really fast-moving competitive space with big question marks around regulation. So innovation and community vigilance are absolutely key.
That captures it perfectly. The potential and the pitfalls. This has been super insightful. Really helped me wrap my head around Compound. Thanks for breaking it down so well.
My pleasure. It's important stuff to understand as the space keeps evolving. And maybe that's the final thought for you listening. What does this all mean? Next time you look at that crypto sitting in your wallet, think about the possibilities, putting it to work, but also the responsibilities that come with it. It's fascinating, isn't it? Even with all this complex code, the human element, a typo, a risky proposal that's still often the weak link, something to keep in mind in this new digital world.
This is a great point to quickly pause and remind our listeners of something.
That's right. If you're enjoying how we break down these complex projects into simple pieces, like this deep dive into Compound, and you want more reviews just like this, make sure you subscribe to our channel, CryptoBox. We really try to do all the heavy lifting, the research, so you don't have to.
Absolutely. Do check it out. And thank you so much for tuning into the deep dive today. We always appreciate you listening and love getting your ideas, so feel free to send sources for future topics.
Until next time.